Oh my god, I need to do that.
It's impossible.
I know, it's just too much.
Oh my god, I forgot to do
Isn't
this.
this
I duplicated it.
It's okay with that.
Yeah,
that's what I did.
So I have two copies of it.
Yeah.
I have 2 hour-long videos.
Yeah, exactly. You should have thought about that.
What? I was asleep when you guys were saying all of that.
Got really like 600 photos.
You have to click
I know.
something.
Are you sure I can
Get
get
it to-
groceries?
Why isn't it just going to my screen?
You have to do some secret little.
Probably.
Looks like I got this.
It's not plugged in all.
I'm gonna immediately get it.
It's not plugged in.
Oh,
That's probably
That'll do
this
it.
is my setup counts for.
nice one, Nick.
Thank you.
You're such a genius.
What happens when you have 4 dongles?
I know, I think they thought that they were helping, but they just made it a little bit more confusing. Because there's so many pieces.
One of my
Okay, everyone, sorry, I'm gonna stop all your
and he just
conversations.
one thing, plugged another.
If you could put your eyes up front. Okay, I have a question to ask, and that is, how do you solve a crime? How do you crack a case? With a raise of hands, let me know. Maddie,
You investigate.
investigate. Okay, what do you need to find, Cheyenne?
You need to find the evidence.
Yes, evidence. So, although we won't be cracking any cases or solving any murders today, we will be talking about evidence. So, from last class, we were talking about persuasive speeches, and hopefully you all have your topics for your persuasive speeches today. And we're kind of going to get more into how we construct our speeches. So, we're going to define some terms, look at some different types of evidence. So, if you want to take out something to write with and a piece of paper, and put your eyes up front when you're ready, we'll get started. Awesome. Some terms and things we need to define. Why do we need evidence? Evidence, just like if you were trying to solve a murder or a crime, you need something to prove that. You can't just be pretending like somebody did something when you have nothing to prove that. So we need it to support our claim and establish credibility. So we kind of touched on it in our last lesson with, if we remember what logos, ethos, and pathos were, those will kind of tie in with today's lesson too. So I want you to think about what credibility is for a few seconds. And when you think you know what it is, I want you to raise your hand. Couple more hands up. Okay, Nick, I saw your hand first. What is credibility?
How trustworthy you are.
Perfect. So if somebody says, oh, it's fine, just trust me. Well, in your head, you might be thinking, well, why should I trust you? You know, obviously, if it's a good friend or something, you're going to trust them more easily. But since we're going to be giving these speeches, you might not know everyone in the class, and they might not trust you. So when you're giving your speech on your topic, you're going to have to give a reason why that they should trust you. And so we use evidence to help do that. We need information that is trustworthy and reliable. And you as the speaker can be, or can have credibility too. You can be a credible speaker. And that will come from the information that we put in our speeches. Any questions on these before we get into the types of evidence? Good. So our first type of evidence are examples and stories. So for the sake of some of these examples, I'm going to use, if I were giving a speech on migraines and I was going to persuade someone that migraines are more than just a headache, because that's a common myth. People will say, oh, it's just like a headache. Well, if I were to share a story about the first time I had a migraine and describe how awful it was and like my experience about that, that could draw out some emotions from the audience and appeal to the audience. So like in Mr. Tentis's lesson, we talked about pathos, drawing out those emotions, drawing some sympathy maybe from my audience with that topic, okay? And also it can be relatable to the audience. Something, maybe somebody else has gone through a migraine and they can think, oh, you know, they can relate to my experience. Or maybe they know somebody else who has had a migraine, they can kind of compare. Any questions with examples or stories? Trying to draw out those emotions, relate to the audience. Next, you've got statistics and data. This one will kind of appeal with our logos. that we talked about in last lesson. So this is going to be backed by science, okay? Facts, statistics. So as we can see with my picture here, if we go with that migraine kind of topic, with my persuasive speech, if somebody said, oh, it's just like a headache, well, I could be like, actually, it's not. I have some data here. 39 million Americans suffer from migraines. And there's actually different stages to a migraine. So I'm using facts and data to help build that strength, build that credibility in my speech, and try to, you know, show that I've studied the information and I'm going to know more about it because, you know, you've studied your topic, and so you can make that more credible. Okay, any questions on statistics or data? That logos that we're appealing to with the audience. Okay, I want you to turn to someone sitting next to you, and I want one person to share what examples and stories can do for the audience, and and the other person to share what statistics and data can do for the audience. Okay, so one person each.
Yeah, stories kind of make it more personal and like outline.
And when you're done, eyes up front.
I haven't heard those three in a while.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I want one person to share with the class what examples and stories do, and one person to share with the class what statistics and data do. So who can tell me what examples and stories do for the audience, what they do for the speech? Yeah, Cheyenne.
We said that it like appeals to the audience's emotions and maybe makes them sympathize with you or relate to you.
Exactly, perfect. And then for statistics and data, who wants to share with me what those do? Rosie?
Build credibility and like trust.
Exactly, so looking at that logos, giving that knowledge to your audience of I've studied the topic, I have research to back it up, okay? That scientific data that's gonna help. Okay, good. Our third type of evidence that we're gonna talk about is authority. Now we definitely alluded to this in the last lesson. And with this one, I like to think of your parents, right? I don't wanna do the dishes. Why do I have to do the dishes? Because I said so. Have you ever heard that before? Something similar from your parents? Exactly. So they are using their their authority to make you do something. So they have this power and influence that can affect your beliefs, your opinions, in that situation, your behavior, and that will help impact your audience. So I, standing here as your teacher, can have power and influence over what you do because I'm your teacher, just based upon that, and that I've gone to school for many years to become a teacher. I know the topic more than you do, so I'm gonna have that authority, that kind of power. So like I said, kind of think of like your parents. Well, why should I do this? Well, because I said so. That plays with authority because they're your parents. They have control over what you do. Okay, any questions on authority? That person in power. So in your persuasive speeches, if you're giving a speech, you're going to have some authority. All of you will, because you are the one that will know your topic the best, okay? So with this one too, in our last lesson, we talked about celebrities. Well, why do we follow so well with celebrities and buy what they're selling or do what they're asked, you know, in their commercials and advertisements? Because they have that power and influence over us. They have that ethos. This one is adhering to ethos, making that person credible, okay? And our last type of evidence we're going to talk about today is visuals. And visuals can include anything from icons, pictures, colors, videos for your speeches that you can use. And all of these help to illustrate the ideas that we're talking about. So maybe Rosie's giving a speech about cabins in the woods. And maybe I've never been in a cabin. Maybe I have no idea what a cabin looks like. I have no idea. So by her using pictures or videos of her cabin, if she has one, those can help the audience, you know, see what she's actually talking about, help illustrate those ideas. And videos can do the same thing, and you know, making the speech more appealing to look at and follow along with. Okay. So now I want you to turn to the same partner. One of you is going to talk about what authority is, and the other is going to talk about visuals. Eyes up front when you're done.
Yeah, and it's also really helpful for like people that don't get something information that's just through stories.
Okay, everyone, I think the conversations are done. If you want to put your eyes up front. All right, now who wants to share with me what authority is? Who can share with me what authority is? What did Rita? I've seen a finger pointed to you.
The person who is in charge or the person giving the speech has power or authority over the listeners.
Or even in your persuasive speeches, if you use someone, you know, in our last lesson, Mr. Tentis talked about The Rock and Vin Diesel. And so if you use someone that a lot of people know who they are, that can help build that credibility again. Give them that authority. Oh, you know who that is? Oh, well, if they said that, then I can believe that too. And then who wants to share with me visuals? Who can? Who can tell me what visuals are in the speech? Cheyenne?
Visuals help to like engage the audience and sometimes put things in perspective.
Exactly, that illustrating the ideas more clearly, making it a little more clear for the audience to follow along with. Good. So with evidence, like I said, think of the crime scene, right? We're trying to help prove our case, prove what our topic is, and help support that claim. And it helps build credibility. Well, why should I believe you? Well, because this, and this. I have all this information, these visuals, I have some authority in this to help prove my point. And there are many types to choose from. So I want everyone to turn to your partner again and share all the 4 types. Just list them. I just want you to list the 4 types that we talked about today.
Examples and stories. Facts. Yep.
Good. I heard some good things. I heard all of them said. So you've got examples and stories, statistics, authority, and then visuals. There are some others, but for the sake of our persuasive speech, we're just going to be using those, okay? So for next class, I want you to come up with 2 types of evidence for your persuasive speech. So you should have your topics by now. And I don't want you to just list, oh, I'm going to be using pictures, or I'm going to be using statistics. I want you to actually go, if you're going to be using statistics, I want you to go and find a statistic about your topic. It can be about anything you want, or like with the topics that you chose from. And actually go and do the research, find what you need for your speech, and then come back for our next class, and we'll talk about how we can write our sources out as well as cite them in our speech, like talk through them and show how credible we are as speakers and build that credibility. Any questions? Awesome.
I haven't turned any of these in online. I was just giving them to you, but should I turn it in online?
This one you need to.
Okay.
So the other ones they can just come to me
Okay.
in written form. But
Okay. This one.
this one, because other people may look at it and see what they do.